My name is Kay, and I'm a wellness coach and trainer at Mental Health Hub, or mHub, in Kigali, Rwanda. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most difficult things that we can go through during the month of Mother's Day, and that is overcoming grief and loss related to the emotional or physical absence of mothers during this time. Today, we're going to talk about the role of a mother, significant concerns regarding grief and loss, how we process those things, some types of emotional loss that come from mothers that may be still physically present but are emotionally absent. And we're going to discuss ways that you can overcome and process grief and loss. And at the end of this talk, we'll talk about key takeaways that we've discussed. So stay tuned as we address mother's loss, or the role of losing a mother during Mother's Day. First, let's cover what a mother's role is. In psychology, we say there is no such thing as a child. In fact, there's only a child and its mother. So we know that early child-giving relationships are really significant to the importance of the development of a child and building emotional intelligence as well. So, according to Bowlby, a warm and intimate and continuous relationship with a mother or figure of a mother is necessary for healthy psychological and emotional development. So we can understand the role of a mother and how significant it is even in development. Now, having an absent mother, whether she's absent physically due to death or illness or loss, or she's just absent emotionally because of lack of connection or attachment with a mother. Either way, this loss affects our relationships, our self-esteem, and our developmental outcomes, especially in children. They also affect us as adults. Components of intergenerational trauma, parenting styles, value systems, and boundaries, as well as attachment issues related to relationships, play a major role in having a physical or emotional absent mothers. There is a characteristic in psychology whereas mothers may be physically present but emotionally absent, and this term is called cold mother syndrome. COLD, cold mother syndrome. And some of the symptoms of cold mother syndrome is having a mother that may wear a mask, meaning there's a coldness or an emotional, the emotional part of the mother is absent, and all that's left is a coldness that presents as attentiveness through other means. So this mother may be physically present, may provide all of the necessities of a child, like food, clothing, and shelter, but do not provide the emotional presence of a mother. Other symptoms may be emotional dysregulation, where the mother may become emotionally dysregulated, overreacting to normal emotional stimuli in a self-destructive manner. So this mother may take a child's emotional ways of showing pain and yell at it or disengage at the child based on them not wanting to deal or handle with emotions, or placing their emotions far more superior than the child's. Another symptom is withholding guidance. We all need mentoring through our lives, especially children need mentoring through their lives. But if a mother is making the child figure out emotionally or physically problems and solutions without any guidance, this could be considered cold mother syndrome as well. Another symptom is disconnection. Cold mothers can be disconnected emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically from their children. They may be more connected to people of the opposite sex that are adults, or they may pick and choose which children they want to be connected or disconnected from. These mothers may also act robotically. Instead of acting nurturing or giving emotionally towards the child, they may appear cold and driven, like they're run by a motor, and that they don't have any sense of being more nurturing or more calm or even more gentle, right? And it seems more robotic. And the last symptom that we'll talk about is accountability. These mothers may be unable to self-reflect. They may not be able to understand why people may be upset at them or why people feel pain based on their own behaviors. These types of mothers is called cold mothers, and this a lot of times comes from trauma in itself. But no matter where it comes from, we know that it severely affects children growing up who later become adults. So when we talk about emotional absence of a mother, we're talking about mothers that may have been physically present, but are not emotionally, spiritually, or psychologically present. This also happens in mothers that are dealing with depression. Now, some of us had emotionally available mothers. However, our mothers may have been separated from us during our childhood, or maybe was a loss of life, or other things that may have created that absence or that loss in our lives. And we know that whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological, or spiritual loss, there is still a point of grieving that we all experience and that we go through. And these stages of grieving are the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross model of grieving is 5 stages. And those 5 stages are acceptance, denial, anger, bargaining, and depression. And each of these stages has their own individual experiences, intensity, and they vary greatly from individual to individual. So you may experience acceptance and then go to depression and then go back to anger and then go to denial. They don't happen in order. They're all individually specific, but these 5 components usually show up in most bouts of grieving. The stages of grief are not prescriptive. It doesn't mean that this is a prescription of how you're going to grieve in what particular order. It just means that everybody experiences them differently, and it gives some context to people that are grieving, and it normalizes the experience for the individual griever. So understanding that 5 stages of grief we all go through as a process of not having a present mother emotionally or physically, just the same as if a mother had physically died or was not available physically to nurture and care for the child. These processes are the same no matter where the loss or grief comes from. There might be some other symptoms of loss that may come up outside of the 5 stages of grief or along with the 5 stages of grief, including poor self-esteem, which is not having self-confidence in oneself, one's belief system, negative belief systems about oneself, negative thought rumination, focusing only on the bad parts of self and not taking feedback on the best sides or greater sides of self, problems acknowledging and labeling emotions. This, as a psychologist, I see most often that people have difficulty understanding when they're having emotional dysregulation or what it even means to be displaying an emotion. We also know that some symptoms come up with identity formation. Who am I? If I don't know who my mother is, if I don't have a connection with my mother, then who am I without her? So we know that this may also come up as the process of understanding oneself and the loss that one has experienced by not having a present mother. And this goes from childhood up into adulthood. So no matter what stage of grief or loss, these symptoms do come up. And emotional dysregulation, right? Sometimes we have a hypervigilance, which is hearing, seeing, thinking, believing things at a heightened level. Or we may have things like we're very black and white in our thoughts and the way that we process emotions. Either we're very heightened emotionally or we're stagnated emotionally, and it's difficult for us to display or explore our emotions. Also, there might be attachment and abandonment issues. One of the major concerns that come up with not having the presence of a mother or a mother figure is rejection or abandonment. And we take that rejection and abandonment into our relationships, whether they're interpersonal relationships at work or school, or whether they're intimate relationships at home, right? So we have to understand that these things really do play a major role in how we communicate with other people and even how we communicate with ourselves. And lastly, I talked about a little bit earlier about hypervigilance and hypersensitivity. These are trauma responses. So what happens during stages of grief and loss, we can experience trauma responses based on that. And in psychology, we say the body keeps the score. So all trauma responses are not psychological. Going through depression, experiencing isolation, not wanting to be around crowds or people, Those are psychological components and some physical components, but it can also show up in the body. What that means is maybe we're having difficulty digesting food, we're having problems in our reproductive systems, we're having problems in our digestive tract. These are all physical symptoms of mental issues that lie in the brain. Now, the good thing is there are ways to cope with grief and loss. It is not a life sentence. As long as you seek professional help or talk to others and use some of these tools and techniques to process the grief and loss, you can overcome it. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have to feel it. There is no quick way of healing and direct path to getting there. But it starts with feeling it. And as you're feeling it, providing techniques that help you cope during the time of feeling your emotions. One of them is allowing yourself to feel, right? You don't have to remember everything about the trauma. Contrary to popular belief, trauma doesn't have to be re-experienced through memory. The body is going to remember it. The brain is going to remember it. You can just process how you feel about it and what you have lost. That's the most important part, is giving the brain and the body communication that is necessary based on what it really feels internally. Secondly, we can understand if a disconnection from mother is possible. And these are for people that may have the physical presence of their mother, but not the emotional presence of their mother. When a person treats us disrespectfully or in a harmful manner, we disconnect. This is the same to be true for our relationships with our parents or our caregivers. If you're in an abusive relationship with the parent, even as an adult, and it's harmful for you, you may want to think about completely disconnecting from your caregiver or your mother based on behavioral patterns not changing and identifying your own wants and needs and how it may affect you. The next step is allowing yourself to grieve without shame or guilt, in your own time, in your own way, based on how you feel, not on anybody else's time or anybody else's way. As we talked about earlier, grieving is individual and unique to everybody. Everybody processes grief in their own way. And most people alive have experienced some type of grief. So just know that you don't have to go by any standard or code in processing your grief. Just go through it as your body is telling you and as you can manage it. Lastly, always seek professional support. It's highly recommended to engage with a counselor or therapist if your symptoms are becoming unbearable or if you don't know how to get through your symptoms and you need plausible support. You can reach out to family members or people with healthy relationships, but ultimately, if you don't have those in place yet, that's okay. You can seek the support through a professional who is trained to understand grief and loss. Now, some of the ways that you may be feeling or that we feel as individuals when we're dealing with grief and loss is the trauma may be permanent. Trauma, again, is not a life sentence. Not only can trauma be healed with appropriate guidance and support, but it can be transformative. You are a much better person because of what you've been through. And that is not a myth. That's absolutely facts. You've learned resiliency and you've learned life skills through processing pain. A lot of times pain is developmental. So don't think that everything that you feel right now is something that you'll always feel. There is levels to grieving, and through time and patience and guidance and support, you can overcome feelings of grief and loss. Another thing that may come up is feeling alone. Many people experience pain alone, enclosed in their homes, and they don't want to share that pain with others. But there's studies that say that as much as 60% of people at a time are experiencing grief and loss. And we know, based on psychology, that it's best to experience grief and loss through community support. It gives you a different thinking patterns to hear from other people. It gives you the ability to be comforted by other people. And there are people that may understand what you're going through, though your experiences are not similar or exactly the same. Another belief may be that symptoms will never change. Symptoms of grief do lessen over time, especially when we participate in our own mental wellness and being. You are not broken, and you are not what happened to you. The past may shape us as individuals, but that doesn't mean it has to define us. Almost every living thing, including plants and animals, experience trauma at some point in their lives. It's not only unique to us as human beings. So understand that we have some components that are built in to help us thrive. And it doesn't mean that you are worse off because you've experienced trauma. We just need tools and techniques to help you get through it. And you can reach out to support for that. Now, we're almost at the end of our talk today, but I wanted to go over some key takeaways that we've picked up as a part of this. Number 1, be kind to yourself without shame or guilt. We all experience grief and loss, and yours may be unique in the way that it happened, but also know that everything that you feel is warranted. Be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to feel and process your feelings and emotions, and don't try to distract or repress them because that caused it to stay within the body and the mind for longer periods of time. Number 2, losing or not having a mother present can be devastating, but one can heal and learn steps to cope. And ultimately, if this is difficult for one to do in their current relationship patterns, you should always seek professional help. Number 3, trauma does not have to be permanent. We can all heal and work through our personal trauma if we choose to, but it is first a choice. Number 4, we should always seek support through friends, families, and possibly professionals that may aid us in the healing process. Number 5, you are not defined what happened to you. You are defined by the choices that you make and how you want to heal from it. You have the absolute ability to heal and to continue your life in a healthy, non-stressful way. Number 6, grief may be a very devastating process, a very trying process, but please don't give up. Keep going. Allow yourself to feel as a part of the process. And again, always seek professional help. Thank you so much for participating in this session with me today. Please comment under this video if you have any questions or comments about the presentation I did today. Thank you so much and have a great day.